Hey guys, it's Danny. Welcome to another Myth or Truth video. This is episode 4 already. And I have to say you guys are really enjoying this series. I kind of do too. I actually really enjoy it. So today I have a few more myths to bust for you. Myths, of course, that you guys recommended in the comment section of my videos or in the community section or even on Instagram. We have some super interesting subjects today as well. So be sure to give this video a like if you end up enjoying it, and why not subscribe? I post 3 times a week and it's completely free. And PS, today's video, like this entire series actually, is sponsored by Skillshare. More about how you can try Skillshare completely free for a month later in the video. And again, as you can tell, it's really early morning. It's the most quiet time of the day for me. So before we get into the myths or truths, it is time for Orchid of the Day. Yes, we have an Orchid of the Day today. And today it's this beauty. It's the Cattleya Tropical Pointer variety Cheetah. There is another variety which is orange. P.S. It's so on my wish list. Dare I say, it's rare. I'm sorry, Maya, I have to say it. Oh my goodness. I cannot believe these words were uttered by myself. But yeah, you guys, it is rare. I want the orange variety, but until then I will enjoy the pink variety, which looks absolutely beautiful in my shelves. It is a medium-sized Cattleya orchid, which takes the exact same care like any other Cattleya. And PS, you will have a care tutorial for beginners down below in the description. It is a super easy grower, blooms once a year. For me, it only has one direction of growth. Oh, actually 2. I just noticed that it kind of split into 2, but this is recent. And as you can see, it's starting to outgrow its pot. I would not say it's a fast grower, but it's not a slow grow either. It is not fragrant, which can be a bonus for some of you. And as you can see, the flowers are a nice medium-sized and very dotted. Hence the name of the variety, Cheetah. Just like any other orchid, you can purchase this orchid from orchid nurseries. It's not always in stock because there are so many orchids available. It's bound to be out of stock sometimes, but if you really like it, put it on your wish list, or should I say on your watch list, and pay attention in the nurseries. It's not rare or anything. It's typically priced like any other Cattleya. It's nothing special in that regard, but it is really beautiful. Alrighty, on with the myths, I say. First of all, quite a few of you wanted me to address this statement. Orchids are parasitic. And of course the answer is myth, 100% myth. I can see how this idea came to be because many orchids are actually epiphytic and they grow attached to tree trunks or tree branches. So yeah, I can see how people thought, oh, this plant might be actually feeding on the sap of the tree. So the reality is that orchids simply attach their roots to the tree trunks. If you ever noticed, orchid roots are super thick and fleshy, and they're very, let's say, sticky. When they grow on a surface, they usually attach to it. Ever had a Phalaenopsis grow its aerial roots on the wall and then you wanted to detach it and most probably you broke the root, and you also had a stain on the wall? Yeah, their roots are specialized in actually grabbing and holding on to surfaces, because that's what they do in nature. They do not. Now here is a true parasite, because you are feasting on my love every day. Did I tell you Joey doesn't really like my company? What they don't do is actually drill into the bark of the tree or the branch to get into the sap. Their roots cannot do that. They also acquire their food on their own. Whatever debris and organic matter falls down together with the rain from the tree, they benefit from, they absorb those nutrients, they don't feed on the tree. Hence why they grow so slow. Some of these orchids are so slow, you guys. Well, that's because they have adapted to very low nutrients. They're very good at what they do, but in order to survive in their very harsh and nutrient-deprived conditions, if you think about terrestrial orchids, they need to grow slow. Now, another idea related to this is that some orchids are actually carnivorous. And this is why I wanted to show you the Paphiopedilum. Because of the shape of the flower, people tend to believe that that pouch is used to trap and digest insects, when in fact, it's only used to trap them because the flower gets pollinated this way. If it makes the insects struggle a little bit, it is more likely to get pollinated. But that's all there is to it. Orchids are not parasitic and they're also not carnivorous. They're just very smart and friendly. Next up, this is a little funny, but I want to showcase the little guy. So humidity trays are not effective. Sadly, that's true. Okay, let me just elaborate slightly on the idea. I did make an experiment a long time ago, 8 years ago or something. And the truth is that one humidity tray on its own really doesn't do much. It really isn't enough for some orchids that do require higher humidity. And this is because it depends on your environmental factors, since they determine how fast that water will evaporate. So first of all, what are you using in your humidity trays? Are you using pebbles? Are you using a, let's say, clay material, which is absorbent and porous? Are you using nothing at all? You're just letting water be. All of these things will affect how fast the water will evaporate. We need to break the surface tension of the water first in order to facilitate evaporation. And for that, something porous like clay bits, even leca, is actually much better than pebbles. And pebbles are much better than nothing at all. The flatter the surface of the water is, the slower that body of water will evaporate. The more you move it around or you break the surface tension, the faster it will evaporate. Then temperature. In higher temperature, water will evaporate faster. If you don't have high temperatures, that water in the tray will just not evaporate as fast. Then, movement of the air. That promotes water evaporation as well. The more stagnant the air, the slower the water will evaporate as well. So all of these factors contribute to how fast that water evaporates, and the speed of evaporation directly influences the environmental or relative humidity around your orchid. The surface of your humidity tray is important as well. The bigger the surface, the more water will evaporate. The more trays you have, the more water will evaporate, the higher the humidity. So that's why I was saying one humidity tray doesn't really do much, but more humidity trays is not really guaranteed to do all that much either. If you have enough of them and you have conditions for that water to evaporate, yes, it can make a slight difference. But honestly, if you're looking for efficiency, I would just go for an ultrasonic humidifier. It is highly efficient. And I'm guessing that if you're actually going through the trouble of offering a humidifier, you're dealing with some special orchids that really deserve a humidifier rather than a humidity tray. Stuff like Phalaenopsis, Cattleyas, and all of the other, let's say, very popular orchids, they don't care about humidity, let alone the very inefficient humidity that a humidity tray can produce. That being said, if you can just plaster your grow space with humidity trays and you can fill them up every single day and you have evaporation improved to the max, then yeah, they can make a difference. But see, there are a lot of variables here, and most of the times home growers don't go through the trouble of, let's say, optimizing how that humidity tray works. They just put a little dish of water with a little bit of pebbles or gravel in there and a little bit of water, and hey presto, humidity. It does nothing. If you like it, you can use it, but it really does nothing for the plant. It's not gonna improve the growth of your plant much. It might be a placebo at best. Sorry. Oh, by the way, if your orchid is small, why don't you get yourself a mini greenhouse or a glass cloche and experiment with that? That will trap whatever water wants to evaporate. No matter how fast it evaporates, it's just gonna trap it inside and increase humidity. It might be a little too much, so you can experiment with putting something under an edge of that cloche just to let some airflow in. You can experiment with just keeping it as it is. That is a much better humidity setup than one single humidity tray. Now, one thing I can assure you is not a myth is today's sponsor, Skillshare. Most of you probably already know that Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of creative and inspiring classes for people who love to learn every day. This is the place where you can explore, expand on, or learn new things like drawing, painting, design, photography, and much more. In the past months of using Skillshare myself, I managed to learn quite a great deal about painting, which has always been something I struggled with, about the process of actually creating videos, about finding my own style and actually being able to take it out of my mind and into the real world, and much more. There are so many courses on so many different subjects. I really just want to have more hours in a day to be able to view them all. Many of the times it happens that I get inspired by things that I thought would never interest me, but now they do. All the classes are premium, have no ads, and new content is added all the time. If you'd like to try Skillshare, visit the link below, and the first 1,000 of you will get a completely free 1-month trial to the premium membership. So check it out at the link down below. I hope you'll enjoy it, and in the end, thank you all for supporting the people who support my channel. Next up, is a day-night temperature difference important? How much does it affect the plant? That is a very good question because that is actually a truth. At least in some cases. There are orchids which do benefit from a difference in temperature between night and day. Some oncidiums are susceptible to that. Many orchids are not actually. Phalaenopsis to some degree, if you can offer that temperature drop in the nighttime only and you have high temperatures in the day, they will still be induced into blooming. But let me show you a guy that is fussing so much right now about the nighttime temperature, you won't believe it. And this is the Psychopsis, which used to be called an oncidium, as it just so happens. Do you remember when this guy last bloomed? Maybe in June? Yeah. He still has his flower spikes, both of them. One of them is new. He still has his buds here sitting in standby. Sometimes one of them yellows, another one is being produced, and you want to know why? Because nighttime temperatures are not low enough. My climate, as I was saying, is very warm, and it's not that it's very, very hot. It is just incredibly warm all the time. There is very little difference between day and night in terms of real temperature drop. No, I can have 30 degrees in the night easily. So in these very high temperatures, this particular orchid simply doesn't want to open its blooms. At the same time, if it's very cold, it will not open its blooms either. It needs intermediate to warm temperatures. If the nights don't go low enough, it's just not gonna bloom. It's not gonna happen with all orchids, I have to say. Cattleyas have no issue with it, but Cattleyas are hot growers. Dendrobium phalaenopsis, again, no issue. Many orchids will not have issues, but some definitely will. As I was saying, I observed oncidiums have some issues, but not as much as this guy. This guy is a surprise. He is kind of finicky with temperature, I have to say. And I didn't discover it up until this year because I didn't used to live in this country all my life. I lived in a temperate climate and I never had issues. But see, in that climate, nights are always cool. In this Mediterranean climate, that's just not gonna happen. We're gonna have heat all the time because that's how it is. And this guy does not like it. So yeah, it's true for some orchids. And the last question we're gonna take for today, a very important question. I will be sure to talk more about these things in contrast with the other houseplants. Are orchids poisonous? Very good question. And the answer is no, that is a myth. Orchids are not poisonous. Given I'm referring to the orchids which we know and we have in cultivation, and they're very, very popular. There are literally hundreds of thousands of species and varieties and even hybrids, so I cannot talk about all of them because obviously I did not own all of them. I didn't even hear about all of them. There are hundreds of thousands. But the ones that I currently have, the ones that I've seen in nursery, no, they are actually not poisonous to my knowledge. In fact, the American Society, ASPCA, I'm just gonna call it like that again because YouTube doesn't like some words. According to them, orchids pose a threat to neither cats nor dogs. And also, as a bird owner, I can tell you they're not toxic to birds either. They don't appear on the list of toxic plants for birds. And also, I can tell you my birds already devoured some buds, some Phalaenopsis buds and some Gongora buds. They actually like pendant stuff. I always have to be careful whenever I have something that is pendant and has buds, they really like them. Otherwise, they just don't munch on my orchids. And anyway, they had no effect from those buds, nothing. Also, in some parts of the world, orchids are used in traditional cuisine. And here's where you guys can add to what I'm saying or correct me if I'm wrong. I think that maybe in Thai cuisine, Dendrobium phalaenopsis flowers are used. At least I just saw them being used as decorations in salads, maybe even more. Let me know in the comments if you do have traditional recipes that include orchids in any way. So for humans as well, they are not poisonous, they're not toxic. This does not mean that you should let your pet munch on your orchids, feed them flowers, or you should put orchid flowers in your dishes. I'm not saying that. Don't do that because again, I cannot promise you this is true. It's just my research, just what I saw with my birds. but I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist. Don't take this as advice as such. Try to avoid it. It's not good for the orchid either for your pet to munch on its leaves. But again, as far as my research goes and my experience, no, they are not toxic. There are, however, some houseplants that are. A lot of these novelty plants that are very trendy at the moment, such as aroids and a few others, they are actually toxic and poisonous to yourself and pets. So I would definitely stay away from them. Reason why I have this one in a cloche and I have a few others in glass cabinets. I have birds in my greenhouse. They're beautiful plants, but they're not worth the health of my pets, you know? So these guys, you should be careful with orchids. I've never heard of anything happening. Let us know if you have more experience with this, but yeah, as far as I know, they're safe. So this has been it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching and for suggesting myths for me to talk about. I hope you learned something new. And of course, if you have something you'd like me to debunk in my next episode, leave it in the comments below and I might just do that. So again, thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. Thank you Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Subscribe to my channel for more orchid videos, tutorials, experiments, updates, and other fun orchid subjects. If you wish to support the channel, do consider becoming a member or visit the merch store linked down below in the description. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. It's always nice to stay in touch there as well. And with that said, I'll see you next time. Bye!